Your best ideas almost never show up while you're working. They show up in the shower, on a walk, staring out a train window doing absolutely nothing at all. That solution to the problem you've been chasing for days suddenly appears while you're brushing your teeth, half asleep, thinking about nothing in particular. What if the fastest way to get smarter isn't more effort at all? What if it's actually learning how to properly stop? We live inside a culture that treats every quiet moment as wasted time. Sitting still feels like falling behind. Staring at a wall feels like laziness dressed up as an excuse. But neuroscience tells a completely different story, one that most people never hear because it contradicts everything they were taught about hard work and hustle. Doing nothing isn't the opposite of productivity. It might actually be one of the most productive things your brain ever does. Hashtag the myth of constant effort. Think about your brain the way you think about a busy office at the end of a long day. Papers pile up on desks, coffee cups collect in corners, and small messes accumulate everywhere as work keeps moving forward without a single pause. Nobody cleans anything while the office stays full and buzzing with activity. The cleaning only happens after everyone goes home, when the lights dim and the space finally empties out. Your brain works in a remarkably similar way. During intense mental activity, your brain cells produce byproducts as a natural part of doing their job, and these byproducts slowly build up over the course of a busy day. Rest, and especially deep sleep, is when your brain activates something called the glymphatic system, a kind of internal cleaning crew that flushes out these waste products, including substances linked to reduced cognitive performance over time. Without that nightly cleanup, the mental clutter simply keeps piling higher, and everything you try to think through the next day feels just a little bit harder than it should. This single fact alone should completely change how we view rest. It isn't a break from real work. It's part of the actual maintenance your brain needs in order to keep functioning at a high level, day after day, without slowly grinding itself down. Hashtag the hidden network that switches on when you stop. Here's something genuinely fascinating that most people have never heard about their own brain. When you stop focusing on any specific task and simply let your mind wander, a completely different system inside your brain switches on. Scientists call this the default mode network, but you don't need to remember that name to understand what it does. Think of it like this instead: while you're staring blankly out a window, an entire internal department inside your head quietly gets to work, sorting through everything you learned that day, filing away the important pieces, and connecting ideas that had no obvious relationship just hours earlier. This network handles memory consolidation, turning short-term experiences into long-term understanding. It handles self-reflection, helping you process how you actually feel about the events of your day. It handles future planning, quietly working through possibilities in the background while your conscious mind thinks it's doing nothing at all. And it handles creative problem solving, which explains exactly why that stubborn idea you couldn't force into existence at your desk suddenly appears, fully formed, the moment you stop trying so hard to find it. Every time you allow your mind to drift without a specific goal, you're not wasting time at all. You're activating one of the most sophisticated processing systems your brain has ever built. Hashtag 10 minutes is enough to make a measurable difference. Here's a number worth remembering, because it removes any excuse about not having enough time for this. Research shows that even 10 minutes of unfocused mind wandering measurably improves cognitive performance and reduces mental fatigue afterward. You don't need an entire afternoon of silence to get some benefit. You need 10 uninterrupted minutes. Free from your phone, free from a specific task, free from the pressure to accomplish anything at all. Short breaks taken every 60 to 90 minutes of focused work also sharpen accuracy and attention span throughout the rest of your day. This isn't about abandoning productivity, it's about protecting it. A brain running continuously without pause eventually starts producing lower quality thinking, slower reactions, and more careless mistakes, exactly the opposite of what constant effort was supposed to achieve in the first place. Let's actually test this right now together. Pause this video for the next 60 seconds. Don't check your phone, don't think about your to-do list, just look somewhere quiet, out a window if you have one nearby, and let your thoughts go wherever they naturally drift. 60 seconds starting now. Hashtag boredom as fuel for creativity. There's a less obvious piece of this puzzle worth exploring here, and it involves something most of us actively try to avoid: boredom. Boredom isn't empty, wasted time sitting between more important activities. It creates exactly the kind of open mental space where ideas have room to slowly mature and creativity has permission to actually show up. Constant stimulation from screens, notifications, and endless scrolling robs your brain of the chance to process everything it has already absorbed, leaving it permanently full and permanently unable to properly restore your attention. Every minute spent staring at a screen during a supposed break is a minute your brain doesn't get to run its own internal cleanup and connection process. The boredom you've spent your whole life trying to escape might actually be one of the most valuable mental states you regularly throw away. Hashtag walking without a destination or a purpose. A walk taken without your phone and without any specific goal restores cognitive function just as effectively as sitting completely still, and in some cases, it actually works even better. Researchers comparing active rest, like walking, against passive rest, like quiet sitting, found both approaches deliver similar restorative benefits to attention and mental clarity. That means you don't need to force yourself into stillness if it feels unnatural. You can choose whichever format matches your mood on any given day. Here's one specific format worth building into your daily routine, something simple enough that it doesn't require any planning at all. Take your walk home from work, from the store, or from picking up your kids without headphones in your ears. No podcast, no music, no audiobook, just your own thoughts moving alongside your footsteps. This single change turns an ordinary commute into a genuine mental reset, giving your brain exactly the unstructured space it needs to process the day behind you. Hashtag sleep as the most powerful form of doing nothing. Sleep deserves its own separate conversation here, because it represents the deepest and most powerful form of doing nothing your body ever experiences. Research shows that sleep improves memory consolidation by roughly 10 to 20% compared to staying awake, and under the right conditions, that memory-boosting effect can reach as high as 15 to 35%. That's not a small advantage. That's the difference between barely remembering something you studied and actually retaining it for years. A recent study went even further, discovering that the precise coordination of specific electrical events during sleep significantly improves a person's ability to remember new vocabulary and grammar rules while learning a new language. Think about what that actually means for anyone trying to build a new skill. If you're learning a new language, practicing a new instrument, or absorbing new information for work, the best way to lock that learning into permanent memory isn't necessarily one more repetition before bed. It's often simply getting quality, uninterrupted sleep right afterward, allowing your brain to do the consolidation work while you're completely unconscious and doing absolutely nothing on purpose. Hashtag treating cognitive rest as a skill worth practicing. Deliberately reducing your mental load isn't something that happens automatically just because you want it to. It's a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice before it starts feeling natural. Constant multitasking and a phone buzzing with notifications keep your brain locked in a low-level state of stress throughout the entire day, never allowing it to fully switch into that restorative background mode we talked about earlier. Here's a simple rule worth adopting starting today. Set aside one block of time each day, somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes, with absolutely no tasks, no phone, and no specific goal. Just let your brain breathe. This isn't wasted time sitting on your calendar. This is scheduled maintenance for the single most important tool you use every single day of your life. Treat it with the same seriousness you treat charging your phone overnight, because without that block of true rest, everything else you try to accomplish runs on a slowly draining battery. Hashtag the emotional side benefit nobody talks about enough. Intentional rest doesn't just sharpen your thinking, it also lowers cortisol levels and calms your nervous system, directly improving how well you regulate your emotions throughout the day. This matters more than it might seem at first glance, because a calmer nervous system changes how you respond to everything else in your life, from minor frustrations to major decisions. A well-rested brain makes noticeably more balanced decisions and handles stressful situations with far more composure than an exhausted one. Meanwhile, A lack of proper rest is consistently linked to riskier decision making, shorter tempers, and poorer judgment under pressure. This isn't just about feeling less tired. It's about literally becoming a more thoughtful, more stable version of yourself, simply by protecting space for your mind to properly recover. Hashtag a simple practical rule you can start today. Instead of leaving this as an abstract idea, here's exactly how to put it into practice starting right now. Begin small, with just 10 minutes a day, completely away from any screen, with no task and no goal attached to it. Simply allow your thoughts to wander wherever they naturally want to go. That's the entire instruction, nothing more complicated than that. Once that 10-minute habit starts feeling normal, gradually build it up toward 30 to 60 minutes of genuine unstructured time each day. Stop thinking of this time as something being taken away from your productivity. Start thinking of it as scheduled maintenance for your brain, the same way you'd schedule maintenance for a car you depend on every single day. Skip the maintenance long enough, and eventually everything starts running less efficiently, no matter how hard you push it. Hashtag the idea that flips everything you've been taught. You've been told your entire life that thinking harder makes you smarter, that pushing through fatigue proves your dedication, that rest is something you earn only after everything else gets done. The science tells a story that sounds almost embarrassingly simple by comparison. Sometimes the smartest thing you can actually do is stop thinking altogether, step back completely, and let your brain quietly do the thinking for you in the background, without any conscious effort on your part at all. This isn't permission to abandon hard work or meaningful effort. It's a reminder that effort and rest were never actually opposites. They're two halves of the exact same process, and ignoring one half eventually undermines everything you're trying to build with the other. Hashtag one question before you go. What's the one place where your best ideas always seem to show up? The shower, a long walk, staring blankly at the ceiling right before falling asleep? Drop it in the comments below, because I'm genuinely curious whether it's the same handful of places for almost everyone, or whether everybody has their own strange, personal spot where their brain finally gets quiet enough to think clearly.